I'm Justin Aquino, joined by Shannon Stott. How's it going, Shannon?
So well. How are you, Justin?
Very good, very good.
Good.
So let's talk about presence in the workplace. And this is an interesting topic, I think, Shannon, because it's something that is kind of a slippery concept. It's one of those things that you kind of know it when you see it, or you can feel it when you have that presence and you have that impact on people. But it's also very tough to nail down exactly what constitutes presence and what makes someone have that presence in the workplace. What are the specific behaviors? What are the specific cues, body language, nonverbal indications, verbal indications that indicate that someone has a presence or an influence in an office setting? So I'd like to explore some of that.
So you and I come from different backgrounds, right? So I am an improviser. And the thing about improv and being an improviser is that it gives people the idea that you're an artist. And I am an artist, but I use my skills to talk to people about what they're doing in their life and in the workplace, right? So one of the very basic, we can start super basic right now, is how you actually show up, how you present in any space that you are in. So when we're talking about character work, specifically character work on stage, what does status look like? If you are a king, how do you walk onto stage? If you are a servant, how do you walk onto stage, right? In this particular case, as we're sitting here talking to each other, you can automatically see the presence in both of us, right? What you are conveying for your clients, right? You can see your dark shirt, for instance, the dark background. There's a little bit cleaner lines in what you are presenting. And then on my side, we've got bright walls, we've got fun highs, right? We've got candles and flowers and things like this because I am presenting in a certain way. So, and what I want people to see about me is that I'm whimsical, that I am colorful, vibrant, and whatever it is that I am going to talk about or discuss is going to come specifically from this particular point of view. And in the workplace, we forget that your environment, how you set up, how you show up, actually is very important as far as what you are presenting to other people for the work that you do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And your aesthetics is kind of, that's how I kind of summarize a lot of those elements. Your clothing, hair. I need a haircut here. Your hair is a lot better than mine, that's for sure. But the decor on a Zoom call, for example, the background and all that type of stuff. That's that goes into that influences people's perception of you. Before you've even opened your mouth, to your point, the colors, the patterns and whatnot. So you can look at those things from a strategic standpoint and think about, what is that conveying? What is that saying about me? And especially for a lot of very analytical people, it's not something that really crosses their mind, especially because a lot of workplaces today don't have a formal dress code. It's kind of like, hey, we don't care about how you dress exactly, as long as you dress fairly normally. Just show up to work and then let's get to work. Nevertheless, on a subconscious level, all of those small things, even just how you set up your desk, as people are walking by, how do they perceive that? That affects people's perception of you. What's the most common pushback or resistance that you've seen with students as they go through this process of building that self-awareness and maybe adjusting how they're presenting themselves or how they're entering a room?
This is such a good question, because the part is the awareness, right? The idea that, oh, I didn't know that I was doing that. For instance, oh, so great. So for instance, what we'll have is what we talk about on stage, any stage, is downstage, upstage, and downstage. The idea that if you are upstage, you're at the back, you're standing at the back of the stage. If you're downstage, you're standing at the front. And what you'll see in new improvisers is that they'll enter the stage and they'll stand upstage, right? They'll stand upstage. They don't want to be too close to the audience. And even if they're speaking in a very loud or boisterous voice, even if they're taking up space, the mere fact that they're upstage says to an audience that somehow that they are fearful of what they're doing, right? And if you are quiet, if you are if you feel shy, just the mere fact of standing downstage makes you look like you know what you're talking about, makes you look like you have a choice. And if we take that assumption and we take that idea and move it into the workplace, just just where are you? Literally, where are you in a room? Where do you decide to sit? If we go back to like grade school, right? Do you sit in the front of the class or are you sitting in the back of the class? If we go into a workplace, when you have cocktail parties, for instance, or whatever, when we get back to a time where we can have cocktail parties all together. But where are you? Are you in the corner where the drinks are and you're serving yourself punch and you're not talking to anyone? Or are you close to where your supervisor is?
I had a conversation the other day, did a webinar on networking skills and just like how to start a conversation, did it with Julie. And one thing that we talked about was physical placement, exactly to your point. Where are you physically placing yourself in the room? Are you placing yourself in a high traffic area where there's a lot of foot traffic and a lot of activity, or are you placing yourself off to the side where there's not a lot of people? If you place yourself in an area that's high traffic, you're increasing the ease and ability of other people to approach you and start conversations with you. So like you said, small things, small little movements or strategic moves enable you to leverage, you know, your small actions into larger results.
Yeah.
That's an example of that. You know, you might have 5 or 10 people that might approach you over the course of an event if you're physically located in the right place. And same concept applies in an office setting. You know, think about physical location. It's not something that people mostly think about really, you know, but actually savvy people that understand charisma and influence and persuasion and presence, they do pay attention to that. You know, who's sitting to the right of the boss at the conference room table, right? Are you closer to the boss or are you further away? Those little things make a difference. So aesthetics, physical placement, managing the physicality and the logistics of the room. These are very, you could say, passive or kind of low key stuff. I mean, there's really active thought and tactical considerations that are going on behind the scenes, but up on the surface, it appears to be fairly passive. And nevertheless, it enables you to increase your presence.